here, coming at you with a day 310 account update. Starting this video off in the essentially normal format, so we are at day 310 over here. Looking at normal things, we are looking at our TCP currently. TCP is at 3.87. Last video we were at like 3.77, so we've gone up about 100k. It's been a little slower, I would say, kind of in the typical growth fashion, rather. We've typically kind of been averaging about 200k the last couple account updates. This one, just about 100k, which is what we were averaging kind of in the past. A lot of that has to do with kind of what I'm currently working on and kind of like where the account is focused. So right now, very much so working on building up the iWatch team or Infinity Watch. MiniKhal is definitely not going to be able to unlock Adam Warlock on this first pass through, but definitely planning on his second pass through. So I've been working on that team kind of essentially as a four-man team, and with Kale, you know, the four-man team is really pretty strong, so I'm not too worried about just having the four-man team and not necessarily having the full five-man team quite yet, but it's definitely been working out pretty good. So kind of things we're working on that kind of go in tandem with that. We are currently farming pretty much kind of everyone on this essentially kind of top section. So working on farming Yellow Jacket, kind of doing the full essential, full farms on that one, so I do all 5 of those. Other things, I was farming Gamora in the Blitz store, got her to 7 stars, haven't taken her up yet. Wasp, I've kind of slowed down on the farming just a little bit, just because I need Yellow Jacket to catch up, and essentially I was kind of running a little low on energy, so currently only farming 3 of her per day essentially, and as Yellow Jacket gets a little closer to that 7-star mark, I will probably transition back to doing a full farm on her. Nebula doing a full farm, all 5 of her. Same thing with Multiple Man. Deadpool over here and Domino, I'm just ready to basically start up, working on getting Dr. Octopus, essentially for my DD4 legendary stuff. Yelena Belova, farming her for the skilletary kind of training module thing that comes around. Phylavella's up here, I will start working on her pretty soon. Essentially working on Nebula first, and then Negasonic and Cable are also being full farmed for Dr. Octopus. Negasonic, I will stop farming. Once I get to kind of like the 6-star mark, I will probably slow down a little bit. Same thing with Cable. Polaris, also now that she is farmable, working on getting her farmed up as well. And Moondragon is up here to basically be worked on for iWatch as well. Looking at the verse battle favorites, this is kind of where I work on my raid team, essentially Doom Raid, and my Dark Dimension 4 type characters, just kind of a little subdivision to kind of keep things just a little cleaner and kind of a little bit more organized. So, we've got Multiple Man up here. Again, I'm probably planning, I kind of tested him out a little bit on Kale in Dark Dimension 4 in the city section, and I actually really liked him as a possible 4th character, even a possible 5th, depending on your resources. And I mean, honestly, he, really kind of pairs very well with the symbiotes, depending on which ones you take in. Essentially, probably planning to take in Symbiote Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, and Scream. And the cool thing about Scream with her passive is anytime anyone dies, doesn't matter who, if it's an ally or an enemy, she's going to get speed up for the entire Sim team. She also heals for a little bit to herself and all allies, I believe. Or actually just symbiote allies, but so essentially what kind of happens is with Multiple Man, his dupes die, it's some additional healing, so it gives the symbiotes a little bit more sustain and kind of helps them live through just a little bit longer in DD4, and I really kind of enjoyed that on Kale's second kind of pass-through, so I just thought it was a really kind of cool function. But other things kind of being worked on, just kind of more of the same. Most of these characters are actually more so for Doom Raids than they are actually for DD4. I've pretty much got most of my DD4 stuff kind of ready to go. I'm slowly starting to work on my Cosmic team. And once I finish up the Cosmic team, I will then finish up my City team. And then Legendary is kind of really where Mini is going to be in a little bit of a crunch, just because I don't have very many Legendary characters to choose from. But, we'll make it work, and certainly not worried about it. We have time, and, there's really no rush. It's going to be a while before Mini is in Legendary DD4 anyway. So kind of other things we've been working on, just kind of more or less along those same lines. When we are kind of farming the orange gear, which I actually don't think I have bought anything today. I was essentially, I think, kind of saving it for the video. But things I'm kind of looking at, with the orange gear, that's pretty much all I'm really buying right now. Purple gear just really does not have the same kind of oomph to me. So purple gear is pretty much all farmable, and there's really kind of not a point in buying it. Mini has finally kind of gotten back to a point where I've got a decent amount of gold again, which is always good. Kale is currently very poor, and Dracarys is kind of in the middle. But, so basically, things I am buying, even when I'm looking at the orange stuff, the universal pieces I kind of try to keep above 100. The uniques that kind of, certain characters need throughout G13, 14, and 15, I try to keep at 61. Essentially, 61 is enough to get a character from G13 to G15. Again, these are the kind of orange pieces that I try to keep above 100. And so like right here, this unique, it is under 61, so I will go ahead and buy that. G15 pieces I try to keep stocked up as well. And definitely after completing my first run of DD4 on Kale, there's definitely kind of a larger influx of that, and I'm sure there's a much larger influx after the second pass through. I am getting ready to finish up the city section for Kale for the second time. Once I finish that, I will then be back into the legendary section, and DD4 will be done with. Another thing to, I guess, kind of note, the catalysts. It's definitely a good idea to kind of keep those above 1,000. I know 1,000 sounds like it is probably a lot, but believe it or not, in DD4, those go by really quickly, and so I'm trying to keep those above 1,000. Primarily, I think it's the focus catalyst and the damage catalyst are the ones that I seem to kind of go through the fastest. So I try to keep those definitely above 1,000. In the Blitz store, like I said, I was kind of hard farming Gamora just because of the pure power of the iWatch team. It made sense to basically farm her up to 7 stars. I think I already had her at 6 stars. Now that that is kind of done and over with, I've gone back to just opening up Blitz Orbs. Really nothing too crazy. You just kind of get the most bang for your buck. Essentially, especially rather since Mini does not have a lot of characters at 7 stars, and especially not a lot of Blitz Store characters. So you're getting 5 character shards, plus you're getting a little extra gold. So it's just kind of the best way, I think, to farm. And there's really no characters in the Blitz Store currently that Mini really needs to farm a particular legendary. So that would kind of be the only time I would really kind of hard farm a Blitz character. Right now, again, I'm not really working on too many purple geared characters, so I do have a buildup of the kind of purple orbs. So basically, as those characters are needing them, I am purchasing those as well. But again, there's really no point in just opening them for the pure hell of it. Another thing, I'm slowly kind of getting to the point where Mini is almost able to start kind of buying these war energy refills. Mini, again, has got definitely a more tall roster than a wide roster, so I really don't have 12 solid attack teams in order for Mini to basically, use 12 attacks in war. So normally the 8 attacks are even kind of pushing it. I would say right now Mini probably has a solid 5 war attacks, and then, sometimes depending on our opponent, I can sometimes get in a pretty solid, 6, 7, 8 attack. Other times it's just really just kind of burning the attacks for the energy. But moving on over, we are looking at the raid store. Again, kind of more or less the same. Raid store, I am farming Baron Zemo and Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo is being farmed for Ebony Maw's next pass-through. The goal for Mini is to have Ebony Maw unlocked, and that'll certainly help for the DD4 Legendary section. Ebony Maw is obviously a phenomenal character still. Black Order has dropped off a little bit. There's certainly a lot of teams that can kind of hard counter them these days, but Black Order is still a really solid war offense team, so I will probably kind of slowly work on them for Mini. So whenever I see Baron Zemo or Yo-Yo, I am farming them. And then I'm also farming orange gear, like I said. So we've got a damage catalyst here that is under 1,000. We're going to pop that. Another orange piece that is under 100, so we will buy that as well. And the focus catalyst over here, which Mini has been going through those pretty quickly. So again, that's under 1,000, so I'll buy that. And that's pretty much it for the raid store. I do have an insane amount of orbs to open, which I'm not even too sure how that happened. So we'll go ahead and pop those open on camera real quick. And there's really no rhyme or reason, I think, to kind of hoarding these. It's just I basically just forgot to kind of open up some of these orbs after we've completed a couple raids, and I mean, it just happens sometimes. I'm not hoarding them for any particular reason. It's just honestly work's been kind of crazy, so I have forgotten to open up some of these orbs. I'm not one of those people that kind of subscribes into seed theory, and I don't save orbs to open them to hopefully get a better seed. I think just a lot of it is just pretty much dumb luck. You're either going to get a good drop or you're not. Some people subscribe by seed theory and swear by it. I'm not one of those people. So I just open orbs kind of as I get them. I'm certainly not one for holding on to orbs. The only time is maybe if there's a particular event that is geared towards a certain orb. I might hold on to those, but there really hasn't been one of those events kind of in a really long time, actually, come to think of it. So moving on to our next section, we've got our arena store. And arena store, I'm kind of in a funny spot. I've been using it to basically farm essentially legendary characters that I've been planning to take into DD4, and right now I'm working on Mordo basically for Phoenix, and I'm really honestly kind of torn on Mini about bringing Phoenix up to G15. And while she is definitely, a really good Dark Dimension character, she's kind of fallen off everywhere else in the game. So it's kind of leaving a really weird taste in my mouth to basically take Phoenix from unlocking level to all the way up for G15 just to basically do Dark Dimension 4. So I'm honestly leaning more towards Adam Warlock as my possible fourth legendary. And I know Adam just kind of came out, and we don't know how long it's going to be until his event returns, but I just feel like that would be a better use of my resources. So I am farming Mordo just in case. But honestly, I'm kind of drifting further and further away from using Phoenix on Mini for Dark Dimension, which really kind of sucks because, I mean, I think she's probably one of my favorite Marvel characters. The kind of 90s X-Men cartoon, the Dark Phoenix saga was probably one of my favorite arcs of that series. And, I just think Phoenix is just a really cool character. It's a shame she's never really been done justice, I think, in a movie, but it is what it is. But so it kind of always sucks, I think, when you're kind of looking at a favorite character. And I mean, I was crazy excited when I unlocked her on Kale. I think she was kind of one of the first characters I really kind of wailed hard to unlock. And, I was really excited when I locked her on her first pass through many moons ago. And it's just kind of crazy just how the game has progressed and how she's really kind of fallen off. But, so that's kind of what I'm doing in the arena store. I've gotten Deadpool up to at least 6 stars so I can get Dr. Octopus. Hemdall, Crystal. I've gotten worked up for either Black Bolt or Ebony Maw. So I'm kind of just at a loss of who I specifically want to farm. I think after Mordo, I actually might start working. I haven't really decided, but I think I might start farming Daredevil and maybe work on Shadowlands just as a war team. But we'll kind of see. I'm not one for kind of planning the arena store out just because of how quickly the meta seems to be changing these days. But so currently farming Mordo, we'll get him to 6 stars and then see where the game is and see where I am, where I'm at rather, and then we'll make a decision there. But in the war store, Kind of again more of the same. I am farming up the G15 pieces, specifically ones that I know that I'm going to be needing, and then I am farming Longshot in here when I see him, as well as Ghost. Looking to get Ghost to 6 stars for a 6-star Jubilee, which then also leads to a 6-star Adam Warlock, and then Longshot basically kind of the same thing. In the Elite store, there's been a bit of a change. I know my last couple videos, especially with the account updates, I've really been saying, like, oh, there's really no one I want to farm in here. So now I've kind of switched that a little bit. I am definitely looking at any iWatch member, in particular Gamora. Gamora is definitely the solid damage dealer in that team. So definitely looking to take Gamora up, and as I am seeing her, definitely trying to snatch up those shards. And over here in the ISO store, again, it's just one of those things. I haven't opened up orbs, no particular reason, not hoarding them or anything like that. It's just, again, I've forgotten to open them. So we'll open up those real quick. And again, ISO 8, kind of more of the same thing, working on my Doom Raid team. My alliance is going to be attempting our first Doom Raid 1, I guess is what they're calling them. Basically the one that requires the ISO 8 requirements. So, I've been working on the ISOs for my first 2 teams. The goal for our alliance really is to just hit 30%. Obviously if we can do a little more, that is always better, but that's where we are at. So that is kind of the store for the moment. Let's see. Yeah, I want to say that is pretty much it for the store. I actually forgot to buy the Loki costume, so let's go ahead and do that before those tickets actually get converted into, the currency. So that is kind of what's going on in our store. In the arena, kind of still sitting kind of pretty, I guess, in the under 50. That definitely kind of keeps an influx of cores coming in, and, I fluctuate a little bit. I can normally get a little bit higher, kind of just prior to payout, and, then you obviously bump down kind of as the day goes by. But still using this team kind of currently as my defense, and then depending on my opponents, I'm switching up my offense a little bit, and as my iWatch team gets a little bit bigger, I definitely plan on using iWatch more for my arena team. And let's see, what else is going on? So in Dark Dimension, we are looking at Dark Dimension 4. I am on the last node of Global, so I need another 6 mil to do, and as always, I like doing these little Dark Dimension fights on the account updates. And so the thing with Mini is once I do finish up the global section, I am still a couple characters short of starting the cosmic section, which is okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I am obviously starting to focus a little bit more on the cosmic characters. And surprisingly, a lot of my cosmic ideas have kind of changed. And, originally I thought I was going to be kind of very Dadbro, Kestrel, Silver Surfer focused. And while that still is the primary kind of plan, I have switched things up a little bit. And the way Nebula has kind of been reworked, she is not a phenomenal character, but she is also one of those characters now that does percent-based damage, which is phenomenal in Dark Dimension because of how crazy inflated the enemy's health pools are. So I'm kind of thinking about doing a Kestrel, Surfer, Shatterstar, since he kind of pairs a lot better with Kestrel because of the defense downs, and then also bringing in Nebula. And I think that could be a really interesting combo, and I'm really kind of curious to try it out. I was originally planning to test it out first on Kale, but Kale kind of passed through Cosmic, kind of really, I guess, before I was thinking about it. And so I'm thinking I'm going to test it out on a Mini. Regardless, I mean, I was planning to bring Nebula up to G15 anyway, just because, like I said, I think iWatch is going to be kind of around in the meta for, maybe not quite as long as Black Order, because, Black Order was in the meta for almost, I think, actually over a year. I don't know that iWatch will be there kind of that same length of time, but I definitely think they will be in the meta for the foreseeable future, and they are definitely a solid war offense, and like I said, Mini is definitely lacking in the war offense teams. So to basically be able to build up a war offense team that will also help me out in my arena meta, I am all for. So definitely don't see kind of any wasted resources on that. So I think Nebula is going to be pretty interesting. You know, she's got that revive component, which is pretty cool. She's a fairly fast character. She also has a dodge mechanic built into her. And then, like I said, that basic damage doing 5%. While 5% isn't normally a lot in normal content, in Dark Dimension, when these enemies have these crazy inflated health pools, 5% can do a lot of damage. So I'm really kind of curious to see how all that works out. So right here, we are finishing up this final, well, I guess the second to last wave before starting the final wave in the global section. And Symbiote Spider-Man is a pain in the ass in DD4, mainly because, while he has any allies with him, again, it has to do with their inflated health pools, but he basically heals himself for a percentage of his max health, and because his health is so high, he heals for quite a bit. So I always kind of find it easier to basically get rid of everything else aside from Symbiote Spider-Man and kind of saving him for last. Once he's by himself with Ghost kind of slowing him down, he doesn't seem to heal as much. And then also on top of it, the Pym trio kind of has some really good evasion with them also. So when Symbiote Spider-Man is missing, he's obviously not getting any heals. So I think that's kind of the easiest way to just kind of deal with this. And it seems to be working out pretty well. This has definitely been the longest node, I guess, and even still, I don't think I've been on this node all that long. But, typically the boss nodes are just going to be a little bit harder. And, that's fine. So we're looking here, we've got a Negasonic, we've got a Cable, we've got a Black Bolt, we have another Symbiote Spider-Man, because of course. And I think right here we're going to focus on Black Bolt first. Black Bolt hits like a truck normally, and in Dark Dimension 4, he hits like a even bigger truck. So definitely want to kind of get rid of him first. If you can kind of slow Black Bolt down, he isn't normally that intimidating. And the cool thing is while you are basically finishing off a previous wave, every turn the Pyms actually get a little evasion. So we actually had quite a few evades built up before we started this wave, which definitely kind of helps. A lot of the times those first waves are basically always where the enemy is doing like their specials and their ultimates. We did just lose our Ghost, which is, basically means this fight is pretty much done with on our end. But we'll do a little bit more damage, and, like I said, DD4... or like I've said, actually, I guess rather in the past, DD4 is definitely, it's a little bit of a grind, but it's not like Dark Dimension 3, where I don't feel like you make progress on a daily basis. Sometimes in DD3, you basically feel like you've literally done nothing, and it didn't feel good. Whereas this, I've made pretty much solid progress every day. I mean, 11 mil one day, 6 mil another. So, it feels pretty good. Basically, all I need is one more day like this, another 9 million day, and this node will be done. And we're only 9 days in, so that's not terrible. We're also kind of in tandem going through Dark Dimension 3 for our second attempt, and we are on the second to last global node, and we'll do that also on stream. And basically it's kind of the same thing. I am a full endorser of kind of the Pym trio. When I was originally going through DD3, I thought it was actually going to be a full Pym tech team, and kind of what I learned with Kale is that the full Pym team, while perfectly designed for Dark Dimension 3, as far as resources go, it's a little bit harder to kind of take in the full Pym team. So I kind of stopped kind of midway through. I basically didn't bring in Wasp, so I do have the other 4, and Ant-Man is definitely, he adds a really cool mechanic where he's assisting a lot, which then causes kind of Ghost's or not her ultimate, but it causes Ghost's bonus iso 8 attack to occur a lot more frequently, which is definitely helps slow the team down more. But it just wasn't possible for DD4 to basically take in 3 tech characters just for the global section. It really would kind of limit what you'd be able to take in for Cosmic, and even city. Well, actually, not really city. There's not really many tech city characters that I would think of. But it also limits what you're taking in for the legendary section as well. So just 3 tech characters in the first section just didn't really make sense to me. So I basically opted to kind of stop that kind of midway through. So Ant-Man is G14, but I don't plan on taking him to G15, at the current time. But anyway, so just kind of slowly making my way back through Dark Dimension 3. The way things are kind of progressing, it'll obviously depend on my legendaries for DD4, but there's honestly, I think, a good possibility that I might finish my first DD4 run before finishing my second DD3 run. And that just kind of speaks to, I think, the nature of Dark Dimension 3 versus Dark Dimension 4. While I am making progress, I don't feel like the progress is as visible or noticeable. And you have to remember that with DD3, the stuff was kind of designed around Phoenix and making it so it would be hard with players basically bringing in these Phoenixes. And whereas DD4, Phoenix can only be used for the first 3 nodes and then the last 3 nodes. So the traded nodes like Global, City, and Cosmic, they weren't designed around an overpowered character like Phoenix. With her basically her special and her ultimate in Dark Phoenix mode. So, I feel like it's kind of, while it is hard, it's not as hard as DD3, if that makes any sense. Where you saw there, I took out, I think, 2 enemies on that. And I don't think I did anywhere near the damage that I did in DD4. So these nodes just seem to take a lot longer. Once you kind of get through the unrestricted and global, I think it does get a lot easier. But actually, I did manage 4.5, so that's not too bad. But so I think once you get past global in DD4 or DD3 rather, it definitely gets a little bit easier and it gets a little faster. But until you get to that point, it just kind of takes a while. But anyway, so I think that is going to be it for the day 310 as far as the update on MiniKhal. I think I'm going to keep streaming. I'm going to do, I did want to do a little more gameplay with Adam Warlock on Kale on the main account, so I will be doing that in a couple minutes. So certainly if you are watching the stream, feel free to hang around and we'll have that coming up. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hope everyone is having a good week. Take it easy and have a nice day.